and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. This is Crime and Tea Time, and I'm so happy that you are joining me today. As the name insinuates, we'll be sipping on a cup of tea as we talk about today's case. And I actually have with me, it's a huge mason jar full of coffee with oat milk and caramel, and I really needed something like that today because I am lacking energy severely today, but nonetheless I wanted to get today's case out to you guys. So grab something that you would like to drink and let's get into today's case. We're talking about the disappearance of Leona LeClaire Kinsey. At the time of her disappearance, she was just 44 years old, and she disappeared on October 25th, 1999. So before we get into the case and before we get into the disappearance, I do want to talk a little bit about Leona because she is more than just a missing woman. She was such a strong woman, and let's talk about that. So Leona was a hunter, a forger, a business owner. She was doing so many things at once. So she loved to hunt, she loved to fish. There was a quote that said that Leona could hunt a quail in the morning, cook it for you for dinner, and then use the feathers to make a craft. I am not that type of person, so I just think that is so cool and so empowering for her to be able to do that. And where she lived in Oregon, which was Grande, Oregon, it was a very small town. So Grande had a population of about 12,000 people, I believe, when she was there, and now in today's time, it has about 13,000, so not much has changed, and it's a fairly small area. So like most of the people love to hunt and fish and stuff like that. She owned her own business. Let's talk about that. She owned her own little landscaping business, and she was booked for about a week after she had disappeared. So that's a little bit odd because I don't believe that somebody who wanted to disappear would have booked all of these jobs and had their life so together at that point. So that's something to keep in mind as we keep talking. Also, she loved her animals. I believe she had 2 dogs and 1 cat. She was a big fan of Fleetwood Mac. She loved their music, and I feel like that is something so interesting because now in today's time, like fast forward 21 years, everybody loves Fleetwood Mac, and like thanks to TikTok, everybody's listening to them. So that's like a really big connecting point because I currently love Fleetwood Mac. Leona was a strong Native woman. She was a part of and excuse me as I pronounce this, I'm sure I'm going to get it wrong, but please correct me down in the comments, of the Pulaub tribe. Just a few months ago, we passed the 21-year anniversary of Leona's disappearance. She disappeared on October 25th, and the year was 1999. Let's talk a little bit about how was her case reported and when did that take place. So on October 25th, Leona's daughter was trying to get in contact with her. Her daughter's name is Carol, and she was 25 years old at the time, and her mom always stayed in constant contact. They were like best friends. And so her daughter found it really weird that her mother wasn't answering her after a few missed calls, and she decided to stop by her trailer. And when she gets to her mom's trailer, she sees that the dogs and the cat are there. She sees her mother's bag, her mother's cigarettes, lighter, glasses, all on the counter, and she also sees her mother's pager, which has all of the missed calls flashing on. And then not only all of those things, but she sees groceries that had been left out to rot, and she also sees a full pot of coffee in the coffee maker. Something about the groceries though, I haven't been able to like really find out. Was it like food that she had prepared for herself and left out, or was it like full bags of groceries? I haven't been able to find that out. And also another thing that was meant to happen, I believe on October 25th or maybe the day before, I'm not exactly sure on that, but Leona was meant to meet with her friend, and she had told her friend that, hey, I'm just gonna go to the Albertsons parking lot. I have to meet up with this guy named John, and apparently I was gonna go and pick up drugs, as that was something that Leona had been struggling with for a while. I don't know if she was like still struggling with alcohol and drug abuse at the time, or if maybe she was just using it sometimes. I'm not exactly sure, but nonetheless, that's not really important. She had gone to the Albertsons parking lot, and Albertsons is just a small little grocery store that is in Grande, Oregon. Currently, in today's time, it is a Safeway. And so I'm not really sure, had she like gone to Albertsons already, picked up groceries, brought them home, and then gone back or if she maybe had just stepped out of her house and he had stopped at her house and brought her the drugs. I'm not exactly sure on what happened there. But something that Leona's daughter Carolyn was not able to find at the scene was her mother's 1980s light brown Jimmy. That actually was found 4 days later, and you guys aren't going to believe where it was found. It was found yet again in the Albertsons parking lot. So there's always something that's coming back to the Albertsons parking lot. It's been reported by the store manager that it was there, and he had said that it wasn't there the night before. So when I was looking at the Albertsons parking lot in today's time, it's a Safeway. I'm assuming it's a fairly similar parking lot. There are a few trees that like line them in the middle. That's kind of what it looks like now. And I was kind of confused. I was like, how would he have known? Because like when I think of like grocery stores near me, they're huge parking lots and there's like cars everywhere. And sometimes people park overnight even when they're not supposed to. I believe because it was a lot smaller of a town. But if there are smaller and more local ones, they're likely closed from like midnight to 6 a.m. or something like that. When they had gone there in the morning, that's when the car was there and they had reported it to police. When they had gone into the vehicle, they had seen that there was something messed up. I believe even like with, I was gonna say Prindle. There was something messed up with something in the console area, I believe, and then there was a box of blue latex gloves in the back of the car. And so it just seemed kind of like odd. I don't know if the police ever fingerprinted the vehicle or saw like anything suspicious or did anything like that. Just from the way that most cases of Native and Indigenous women are handled, I highly doubt that they did fingerprint. Also, something else that was on my mind was like, couldn't they have just checked CCTV? So I don't know if the police just didn't go and check CCTV or if there wasn't any existing since it was a smaller store. And if there was CCTV, it would be able to literally crack this case open because you would have been able to see if Leona had made it to Albertsons in the first place, and then if she had been with that person. I highly doubt that she was with that person like coming back when the car was dropped off. But something to keep in mind is the car was dropped off there at the lot, but did he have somebody like helping him? Was there an accomplice? Because I highly doubt that this guy, who I found his name on one different source, and that was that his name was John and he was a well-known drug dealer around the area. So if John had gone and dropped off the vehicle, there had to have been somebody else to help him. Like, how did he get out of the area? So if he had been walking at a random like early morning or something like that, somebody would have had to have passed by and seen this random guy walking on the side of the street. Also, when you are talking about Leona as a person, she was so strong and so courageous. I highly doubt that one person could have overpowered her. Although she was small in stature, she was like 5'2" and about 100 and something pounds. I don't believe that she would have allowed somebody to overpower her, even if it wasn't from her personal strength. I believe that she would have screamed and put up a fight had somebody been trying to take her. Okay, so I did mention a man named John, but let's talk a little bit about John. He has been said to have left the area after, I believe, the car was found or after Leona went missing. He had left the area and he had bragged about committing the crime. So if that doesn't tell you about the type of person he was, I don't know what will. Even if he hadn't committed the crime, the fact that he was saying that he did is just so disgusting and kind of just toying with her family at that point. I don't know if police ever looked into him again. I haven't been able to find a lot of stuff out about the police work, but I'm just, from what I've found and what I've seen, and I haven't seen any comments from police or anything like that, I just believe that they didn't really care about this case. Like, she's an older woman. Not only was she an older woman in her 40s, but she was a Native woman. And as we all know, if we have looked at any other case that has ever talked about a Native woman missing or a Native woman being murdered, you can just see that the police didn't care. They never put the time and the work into it because they believed that the people were savages and that they didn't deserve justice. Not exactly that those words were said, but I have heard that in certain cases, and it just breaks my heart because everybody deserves justice. The person who took Leona that day deserves to be brought to justice, and her family deserves to know what happened to her. Her daughter deserves to know what happened to her mother, and her grandkids deserve to know what happened to their grandmother. And this case bothers me so much. There's just not enough information about it online, although her daughter is incredible. Okay, so let's talk about Carolyn, Leona's daughter. This woman is a machine. I don't know how I could like describe her in another way. She always is like advocating for her mother, talking about her mother's case. She was quoted to say that the first thing that she would say to people is, "Hi, my name's Carolyn and my mother is missing." She did such amazing work, not only to her mother's case, but to the case of many Native and Indigenous women that have gone missing or have been murdered. I actually found out about Leona's case through her daughter's Facebook page. I'm not exactly sure if she has one page or two. I did eventually find another one later, and I will link both of them down below. One that was just specific to Leona, and then another one that works on cases of many other Native women and men, and she is just such an advocate for it. She is constantly talking to the families of other missing women and just letting them know where she is in her journey, kind of, and that giving them hope for where they are in theirs. I just think that is so powerful. She's helping them heal, and not only that, but she's helping herself heal, which is so incredible because she deserves peace. Her daughter Carolyn talks about her. She talks about how her mom had a very dark and real concept of life. And to get to that point, I feel like you would have had to have gone through something in life. You would have gone through something traumatic or something that was just really like uncomfortable, I guess you could say. And Leona did just that. She had gone through a domestic abuse situation, and she was a domestic abuse survivor in her 20s. And her daughter had said that her mom knew that bad men existed. And that is just so eerie, I guess, when you hear that, because when you hear about what is suspected to have happened to her, it just hurts to hear about that. I haven't really heard about this theory much, but I just do want to put it out there. I don't believe that she had left on her own accord. If you look at, she had a planner, and that planner was booked for a week after with her landscaping business. I feel like her life was just falling into place and everything was just coming together. So I don't believe she would have left on her own accord, especially without telling her daughter. And she would have never left her pets behind. Like, she was an animal lover. She would not have left her dogs and cat to like starve or to have been left without care. She would have at least told her daughter, like, "Hey, by the way, my animals are here. I'm just gonna head out." Something like that. She would have never have just left and never spoken to her family again. I know that there are cases of people just wanting to disappear, and I totally understand that, but I don't believe that this was the case here. I believe that she was likely a victim of foul play. The fact that nothing has been discovered of hers, I just don't really believe that she could be around today, although there should be hope, because there have been people that have been found 20, 30 years later, and they have just been fine and functioning. So, you know, you never know, and you never want to shut anything down, especially in a case that has so little evidence and such little information. Okay guys, so I'm just going to give a quick description of what Leona looked like at the time that she went missing. So let's get into that in case that might spark some memories for people that were living in the area at the time. So let's talk about it. Leona had brown hair and brown eyes. She was about 5'2" and 110 pounds. She was a Native woman, as I said before, and she had a tattoo of a tomahawk and her peace pipe on her bicep. So if that doesn't tell you about like what a cool woman and what a spiritual woman she was, I don't know what will. I do want to quickly mention that there is a reward out there for the information that if anybody has, and I do believe that people know what happened and they are just not speaking out about it. So I would encourage you, if you know something, say something, because it is so scary to know that there are people running around that have committed the crime and they have not been tried on it and they have not been taken to court. Her daughter just wants to see answers, and I feel like we all just want to see answers. This case hasn't been covered very much, but nonetheless, it is still equally as important as any other case. Her daughter is just pleading with people that if you're out in the area and you're foraging or you're going for walks in the forest, to just keep an eye out, and if you could find something or if you see bones in the forest, to please report them, because there's a possibility that they're just not animal bones and that they could be the bones of hers. or they could be the bones of somebody else. So that is something also to keep in mind if you are in the Oregon area and you go out into the forest a lot or you go hike a lot. Just keep an eye out for those kinds of things. Her daughter just deserves the peace, and she deserves to be able to finally get answers on her mother's case and finally lay this to rest, as it has taken up so much of her life just advocating for her mother. And I think that is so incredible. And not only does she advocate for her mother, but she advocates for all these other missing women, and it is just so incredible. I believe she is working with her tribe to work with domestic abuse survivors. I just think that's so incredible. Like, this woman doesn't stop, and I don't think we should be either. I think we should all be advocating for minorities and for all of these different things that are going on in the world, because we have to use our voices to speak up for those who cannot. Since we are coming close to the end of the video, I did just want to put out my theory a little bit. I do believe that this man named John was the reason that Leona is no longer with us today. I would love to believe that she is still around, and if she is, that would be the most amazing news to hear. But I do believe that she met foul play when she met with John that day. I'm not sure why he would have had to have done that. She was such an amazing woman, and I feel like her life was cut far too soon because of somebody's greed or somebody's jealousy. I would encourage you guys to leave a comment down below and let me know what you think happened in this case, as well as leave a like if you like this video and subscribe if you are interested in seeing more true crime content from me. So we are coming to the end of today's video, and I just want to remind you guys to be kind, stay sweet, and join me next week for the videos that are to come. Bye, my honeys.